had approached, well, if you'd like possibly have one of those.
Yep.
So I'm not sure. We had been like children grandchildren and wanted to see it.
Came in here.
No, to see the actual chair that died in. And again, I don't know what they were expecting, but I think they were don't keep it out on public display. One of the granddaughters they had care.
Was like I know.
He was talking her grandmother was.
Oh, that's
yes,
killed brother.
That's half brother. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe we get original, but as a music director, I want the
original.
I think setting me up here.
I'm setting. Those you cards. We'll give you a link later too. But here's a little of history. It's on the History Channel. One of the first stars, I think, came into the Las Vegas. They had the original blueprint made, and the original blueprint was framed up. They sold them. The guys at OnStar
like $20.
OnStar. Online, it's bare. Here's the never sold. Apparently, there's a demand for an chair. At least not on the over.
And how much?
$250.
We can hang it to our rep out there.
We put them though. We're probably going to age of it. The are heavy faded now. It's
kind of fades out.
It fades out. If the museum wants to make here's the Father slot machine. Okay.
Yeah.
And if win 250,
you can buy them.
We can bring it back to Rising Sun. So
out there could for me play some money. It would be.
But I do like my slot machine. Then plus they got a shrimp cocktail. You can eat. That's always something.
Now mention he was approached with a contract. He's more than a religious man, and he really didn't kill a human being. Do I want to be responsible for that? And I think he took a few months to think about it, and they kept coming back with higher offers. And eventually, he convinced himself that, it would be a more humane way for these people that had to die. And plus, it set him and his family up quite well. It's never been disclosed how much money he made. But after it was done, they were able to buy a nice house in Indianapolis, and he moved up there and retired and lived out his life in Indianapolis.
Well, these were custom-built chairs made out of white oak. With reclining backs.
Reclining, yeah.
And that had to be a pretty good chunk of money back in the...
I'm sure it was.
Because 1928, we're in Depression then.
Yep.
And... so that it must have set him up pretty well.
I'm sure it did.
So the blacksmith shop, as I understand it, was at the foot of Main Street.
Foot of Main, yep.
And that's where he constructed it.
Uh-huh.
Now the blacksmith shop is gone.
Gone. It was a whole set of row buildings down there, and the original fronts, of course, faced the river. And when Lane, you and I were kids back in the day, those buildings were still standing. So
I remember the old houses that used to stand there, and I don't know if that
was on the far left.
Okay.
The end building with the blacksmith shop.
So that was actually it.
That was it.
Is that the one that they had to burned several times?
Mysteriously, yes.
Mysteriously burned?
Burned a couple times.
Problem was the fire department kept showing up and putting the fire out, and they never were able to get it cleared off.
Yeah.
So, but if you go down to the foot of Main Street now in Rising Sun, you're going to see the pavilion.
Yes.
And then to the right there, obviously there's trees and flowers and park benches. Very, very pretty place.
It is.
But back in the day...
Yeah.
There were brick buildings on both sides of the road.
Because the river was the commerce center.
But the river was a lot smaller then.
It was much smaller, much shallower.
And so the river has pretty much, when it got big back in when they put the high-rise dams in, the river bank started, breaking away.
Several floods. There was the 37 flood, of course, and bigger ones before that. And I think in 64, there was a large flood when we were young. My grandparents lived on Front Street, and they were starting 64. They were starting to carry all the furniture to the second floor, and it crested. So
I remember the 64 flood. I won't tell you how old I was during the 64 flood, but I remember my dad driving through water below town.
Oh yeah,
and we had this old car. I couldn't even tell you what kind of car it was, but back in those days, we didn't have car seats. We didn't have seat belts, and Dad's like, well, let's see how deep it is. And so he's driving through the water below town, what we call the Dick Caves property. You're aware of where that is. It's just right down 56 below town. And as we're driving through, the water starts seeping into the car. And so we're standing on the seats going,
we're sinking, Dad.
Dad, we better turn around. He goes, well, I guess so. And so he backed up, and but I do remember that was 1964 when the flood happened. But But the blacksmith shop now is long gone.
Long gone, yes.
And but the history's still there, right?
It is. And just the purpose of these kind of broadcasts, we can't let that history die. Even something as morbid as an electric chair is part of our history, part of our culture here, and we need to make sure people remember these things so that future generations will know about it.
So we had the more humane electric chair.
Yes.
And if you or any of your friends want to come down here, we will put you in that chair.
I'll strap you up.
We will hand you, a piece of meat, and we will tune it up. Do some No, we don't.
We'll give you a turkey timer when it pops.
This is a non-working model.
It's a non-working model
that we have here at the museum. Yes. There is no. There's no electricity run to it, because I remember a few years ago we did a ghost ride essentially for Halloween. And at the end of the ghost ride, we brought people in, we talked about the murder, and we had someone sitting in the chair. And of course, we'll come back and it was pretty early. I guess to the people. So
to see it.
Maybe we'll have hours it up again. Now, is our model made out of white?
Yeah, all the same process. The original.
Wow. Yeah. That's down.
The copper thing definitely has been down.
Now you come down. Pads that go over your hands.
With water in the forearms, the leg, and all bull like. We all it's current. It function.
If you were prepared to, we'll get trouble there. So,
you think dear one?
But 5,000 not to that. Around from instruments of death. Guy named Charles Potter acted there. So I think gruesome. And it's something that
said as part of his parody. Yeah.
Well,
it's not a hard subject to the museum. Open Tuesday through Friday. Attorney weekend noon. We'd love to have you as a member. Memberships start at $10, go all the way up to $150, and we have facilities that you can have a party in. You can rent it at a very reasonable rate. Helps us with our expenses. We'd love to have you support. We'd love for you to come and visit. Admission's free. Mm-hmm. We do have a nice donation box, and we do love donations.
Any little bit you can get.
Yeah, helps. Any little bit helps. We're a private organization. We're very grateful to the City of Rising Sun and Ohio County government for their operating support. We couldn't operate without them. We're very grateful to them for that. So we invite you down to see it. Recently, Cincinnati Rewind came down and did an excellent photo interview on the museum, and they're coming back in April. They were so proud to take them through town, do a historic about the founding sun, how unique it was in April. So that.
And I'm remiss, there's some, you were on TV.
Yeah, from Fox 19. Got a call, gave me a notice, and the sun recently came in Underground Railroad Town. And what's unique about this is Underground Railroad Town. This was very early 1930s, and we're getting also, but it's part of our history. An African-American family here who were freed. Kentucky came here, shortly became abolition. Bill Dan put a skirt on her fourth. Standing around, it's in a transition stage, just being shopping. Something can be done.
Well, we're hoping we'll step up, say property, so that it's getting to the Underground Road. I mean, really, our story, we were told a lady standing away.
A remarkable family.
That's more.
It is, and we'll finally that would be Hillary Delaney. She's the local history director for Boone County Library Services. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll try to get back a little faster than we did on the last one.
Yeah, the holidays kind of took a toll.
We kind of got a little bit behind because of the holidays and everything else. Remember, we're this, and by no means are we professionals. So I'm Lane Siekman signing off here tonight from the Ohio County Historical Society.
And Cliff Tees, director of the
and thank you, a part of.
Thank you. See you.
Second for our thing.